All right, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I'm so confused, but we know it's one of the three, right? I'm Matt, and I have special guest, Ms. Felicia Ray Owens, who is running for City Council in 2027 in New Braunfels, Texas, District 4. Yes. And also, I have her husband standing by. He's going to make sure I behave myself. This is Donald, and Donald Owens. And together we're going to try and put together something educational, informational. And Ms. Owens, first of all, both of you, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of what I assume is a very busy schedule.
It is. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I know that you was under the weather for a minute. Glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
The first thing I want to do is start with some of your viewpoints regarding some of what's going on in New Braunfels. I know there's a lot of different opinions about the growth, about transportation issues even, about jobs, the economy. I mean, I guess New Braunfels isn't much different from anywhere else, but specifically to New Braunfels, what can you tell us about your policies, where you stand, and how can we make things better together?
That's a good question. So I'll go backwards. How can we make things better together is where I want to start. One of my platforms is building community. I call it community unity, which is all of us actually talking to each other. That's the start. I have lived here in New Braunfels since 2023 when my husband and I got married. And my experience here has been quite interesting. As far as the racial division is concerned, as well as just politically. We live in a place where a lot of the constituents have been historically pro-Republican. Maybe not all necessarily pro-Trump. And then we have the whole other side, which is a mixture of people who run from being completely traditional Democrats to progressives to independents. And then we have our youth that are coming up now confused on, do I really align with my parents and my grandparents? Because I have a lot of friends that are this or that, and this is not accepted by the people that I know in my life, the ones that I love. We all live in the same place, whether it's New Braunfels, whether it's the United States, or just Earth in general. And if we don't talk to each other about the issues that we're having, there is no coming to a resolution, period. You can't have a resolution for everyone if you don't include everyone. And that is one of the reasons why I chose to run for city council. When I got here, I looked for 2 years almost, just for anyone that aligned with me. Not just politically, but even racially. I could not find the community. And over the course of me looking for that community, I realized everyone is afraid. Most people, especially Black and brown people, don't want to participate because they feel they'll be attacked for living right here in New Braunfels, which is part of Comal County, which the world has come to know as being where the Trump train was. And for those that aren't familiar with the Trump train, during the 2020 election, the Republican Party here in New Braunfels shut down I-35 to prevent voters that were on a bus, they called it the Biden bus, going to vote in the election. And they literally parked their cars to keep traffic from flowing to go vote. And that is what we were on the map for, right here in New Braunfels. New Braunfels is supposed to be a place of serenity. We are known for our water. We are known for the tourism that comes here to see all the nature that we have, all the trees, all the animals, the rivers that flow here. And to see that same place of serenity also has this hatred that is so deeply ingrained and embedded in this community that oftentimes the locals don't even realize they're part of the problem. What many people may not know about me, and I'll just briefly say, I was a precinct chair for the Comal County Democratic Party, briefly for Precinct 305. earlier in 2025. I left my chair post because I realized that our local party is not who we actually believe that they are. Our local party has a lot of divisiveness, and there's not representation for all communities. There's not a lot of black and brown representation at all. I believe when I was on the precinct chair board, I was not board, but as a precinct chair, I was maybe one of 3 that were black, and the other 2 I had never met. I was told one was an elderly woman who barely could leave her home, so she wasn't very active as a precinct chair. What prompted me to put in my resignation, I had 2 incidents. We had a signal group or an online group. We were chatting, precinct chairs, and I asked in the group, hey, can any of the precinct chairs name one business locally that is owned by someone who is black or brown? And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and no one could give me an answer. Finally, someone actually put in a location of a restaurant that they had found that's owned by black and brown, both actually, which is Cool Vibes, a Caribbean restaurant here in town. And I was just astonished. It hurt me not just from being a black woman who lives here, but also as being someone who is very active in the community. The women that I was working with have lived here for decades. So it was over my head. How do you not know who your residents are? How can you spread the word of the Democratic Party if you don't even know who the black and brown community is here in town, let alone the county? Do you understand what I'm saying? I was offended by this. So I proposed that they get their shit together and figure out who their actual voters were. And that prompted from conversations, we have to be more diverse. We've got to get out and talk to people. And I said, well, you aren't talking to people, you're talking to each other. It's fine to rally people who already follow you, but those that don't follow you, don't know you exist, and don't see that you're even trying to communicate with them, they have no reason to follow you. I have yet to see them make this move towards reaching out to the black and brown community. However, I have seen them turn on me publicly. And that has become an issue with many members of this community. I have spoken out about it only because I felt the need to defend myself and my husband and my family. However, I did not start a battle with them per se. I chalked it up as, hey, I'm new here in town, I'm younger, I'm a black woman. If seated as city council, I'll be the first black woman to ever, I don't know, run for the seat, but definitely win. I'll be the first black person to ever win the seat, male or female. Right now, I'm currently the only Democrat running for a seat at a municipal level in Comal, to my knowledge, who is a Democrat. And for my own precinct chairs to find that as being threatening to them is concerning for me. Not only as a resident here, but as a voter, as a candidate. It's insulting, but it's also hurtful, because I would think you would rally around me. I mean, that's something to celebrate in itself. Just having someone black on the ballot, just having a Democrat on the ballot. My opponent, who is the incumbent, his name is Lawrence Bradley, ran unopposed. No one ran against him, not a single Democrat. So I found out that Lawrence Bradley lives in my neighborhood. And it shocked me because my husband and I are always out. We're very visible in the community, and I've never met this guy. Never seen him in person. I've never seen him at any meetings, meet the candidate, whatever it is. And so I said, how's this guy representing us when we don't even know who he is? So I got nosy. I started asking my neighbors, do you know who this guy is? Can you tell me about him? Do you like him? Nobody knows who he is.
Wow.
And so we have an entire community of people that look like me, that look like my husband, that think like us, even if they don't look like us, that have no idea who their representative is on our own city council. That's a problem.
That's a big problem. Now, I don't know, I guess, certainly a finger has to be pointed, in his direction. But I'm going to take a step back, because I think that, and that you could speak better to this better than I could, but I also think that the finger's got to be pointed at us. We have to be able to think for ourselves and say, hey, wait a minute, I don't know who my representative is. And you could bet your bottom dollar that other folks know who theirs are.
Right.
So I guess my whole thing is, how do we change people's mentality? Because I think that's where the problem lies. Never mind the whole racial issue, because before we get to the racial issue, we got to get to just simply thinking correctly for ourselves.
Right.
And once we learn how to think, now we can figure out what to think and how to think. And then the light bulb goes off.
Right.
Hey, wait a minute. We should know this guy, or we should know this woman.
Knowledge and education.
Knowledge and education, yeah. So I didn't graduate college. I went for a year and a half and I had to get out. But you are both probably highly more educated than I am. So I appeal to your sense and I ask you, look right in the camera and tell us, all right, how do we get there?
How do we get there is pay attention to start. Many people have checked out because everything that's happening around us is so overwhelming. We don't want to absorb it because we feel like it makes us feel a certain way that's negative. I look at that a little differently by saying those negative feelings that you have, that's your instincts. Those are your intuitions letting you know that something's wrong. And if you don't stand up to fix what's wrong, why would you expect anyone else to? If you don't stand up for yourself first, why would you expect anyone else to? So I think that one of the things that we have to do as a community is teach that it is okay to be not okay sometimes. It's okay to say, I am not comfortable with what's happening, and I may not be able to process those feelings. I don't know how to put them into words, but something's not sitting right. And when you hear someone say that, don't attack them because their views may be different from yours.
That's the big problem there.
Right. Try to understand where they're coming from. One of the things that I tell a lot of our followers that follow us with Indivisible Comal County is get out your feelings. We are in a highly motivated sense of emotions right now. And it's not healthy in the sense of trying to get your point across. What's happening with us in this country based on what the administration is doing, I'm not going to point fingers to which part of the administration, we know, we see it.
Yeah.
What they have done is launch a campaign on the entire country, all of us Americans, it really doesn't matter who you are at this point, to instill fear into us so that we can get motivated to hate each other. As long as we're fighting each other, we're not fighting them. I know that plenty of people have heard Bernie Sanders say this, AOC say this. I agree with them both. If you are focused on your neighbor and all the things you hate about your neighbor and what they're doing, and you're not focused on the government trying to take your right to vote away or change your neighborhood into a district that you didn't ask for, or put people in office that you've never heard of and tell you that you don't have a say, but they're going to dictate how you make your money, how you spend your money, what you spend your money on, where you live, how you live, how many kids you have, if you have kids. They're making all your life choices. To me, for some people, they would equate that to God. So Are we having electoral gods now? Do we get to, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I feel like we have to talk about this, and we need to stop being afraid to talk about it openly. I'm tired of all the niceties, personally. I feel that we should be respectful, absolutely. But respect is earned, in my opinion. And I'm not saying we need to disrespect someone until you earn their respect. What I'm saying is show me respect so that I can show you the same respect.
Right.
So that I don't feel disrespected. So that I will be open to listen to you.
So let me ask you something, and Donald, I am going to get to you, I promise. But I like what you just said, because I have been saying, and I shouldn't be putting my own opinion in here, but I have been saying, you know, while I love President and Mrs. Obama, you know, when they go low, we go high. And, you know, I mean, you're the victim today. Not a day goes by without me talking about my dad, but my dad was all class. He was the best of the best. But, you know, I can't go with that anymore. I can't go with that, because I'm seeing the bullies, and the bullies, they flip over your lunch tray, punch you in the stomach, take your lunch money, what have you, and they keep coming and keep coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then never mind that, just the language that they use. And so now I'm like, okay, well, I'm not talking about us getting physical with anyone,
Right.
but absolutely, I'm ready to meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of verbally. So when you get somebody like Jasmine Crockett, who kind of meets them where they're at, you know, she's ready to get into an alley fight with them, and they don't like it. They are scared.
Right.
You
Afraid.
know, they are very
Yes,
afraid.
they are.
And, you know, I'd have to check again, but from what I understand, there are some polls that even suggest that certain folks are in trouble. You know, so
Certain folks are in trouble. I was watching the news this morning, and I heard a quote that within the last 13 elections we've had here in the nation over the past several months, Democrats have won all 13. That Democrats are up plus 14 points in the polls from when Kamala was running for president. And they called it the GOP reckoning. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. I've been saying probably for about a year or so now, whenever he did the redistricting, when it actually became official, that it was going to backfire. I asked every candidate I met, hey, do you think this redistricting could backfire if it actually happens? And I kept asking this question. It's the first question I ever asked Dr. Regina Van Berg. That's how we met. I asked her that question at a town hall. And
just for those who are unaware, Dr. Van Berg is running for Congress.
Texas 21.
Yes.
Chip Roy's seat that he's vacating. Yes.
Okay.
We need her in that seat.
Right.
So I asked her that same question, you know, could this redistricting backfire? And now we're watching it happen, where all of these places that were redistricted in favor because he felt like he had the right, I believe was the quote, I have the right to make them Republican because I won there. Now, those same places are voting for the Democrats. So what does that mean for the GOP? They're supposed to be scared. They're terrified, which is right now. Within the past 24 hours, Donald Trump has started floating this idea of nationalizing elections. He mentioned it before, but yesterday he was full on, this was all over the news, all day long. Nationalizing elections and taking them from states and letting the government be in complete control of the ballot. There's so many things wrong with that. There's so many violations of our own privacy and security that we should be concerned about. I think that going back to what I said about people checking out, people have checked out, and that is what has allowed this to happen. We have a majority of our community, and I'm not just talking about here where we live, across the country, who have decided for themselves, I don't need this in my life. I don't want to watch the news. I don't want to participate. I don't want to talk to anyone that's talking about politics because I just want to be happy. My counter to that is how can you be happy with all of the things that are happening in the news, with all the things that people are talking about, with everything that you're up against that's threatening your actual real livelihood? We talk about the pursuit of happiness. If you are not actively involved in what is happening in your life, what type of pursuit of happiness are you on? What is that journey? Did you map it out well? You know, would you get on a plane and head to another country without knowing anything about it, without knowing where to go, where it's safe to be, what foods to eat, if you should drink the water? Same when it comes to your everyday life and politics. How do you wake up in the morning not concerned about the people making decisions for you and your kids, for your insurance, for your rent, your mortgage, your interest rates, your groceries at the grocery store? For somebody to tell me I don't vote because that don't have anything to do with me. I actually heard Kanye West say those words years ago. That don't have nothing to do with me. I heard Prince say those words.
Okay, I gotta stop right there because I shouldn't have to explain this to you. It's Kanye.
I know it is. And there are so many that are like him. And that's what my point is. There are many people, not saying they're bad people or anything's, you know, everyone will have their opinion. But on the core of it, to put out there that you don't vote or pay attention to what's going on in politics because it has nothing to do with you, to me says something about that person. And I don't know if it is a lack of education or a lack of interest or both. I don't know if the majority of our community is feeling this way because they're being told by others, just shut off the news. It's fake news. Don't pay attention to it. You have nothing to worry about.
I wonder if maybe, and I can speak from personal experience, there was a time I remember having a discussion with my mom, and I don't even think I was 20 yet. And she was getting ready to go vote. I said, did you talk to all the candidates? Did you walk around with those measurements for shoes? She said, why? I said, you should check everyone's shoe size. I said, and then pick the guy with the smallest shoe, because no matter who you vote for, you're going to get a foot right up the kazoo. And, she said, I think you should rethink your position. And I did. But, the reason I'm saying that, though, is I think maybe there is something to be said for people who are discouraged. Mm-hmm. It's not so much that they don't care, but it's because they're discouraged and, they're looking for, okay, give me a reason to jump on this because my vote doesn't seem to count because of the color of my skin. And now my vote doesn't count because of my political party affiliation. So why should I be involved? That's the problem, and we got to address that.
I'll tell you, from my experience in Black and Brown communities, it's a taught thing. We have a lot of parents in the Black and Brown community that are of older generations who have experienced some things. They may have, been in schools that were segregated. They may have already experienced the civil rights movement, and they have these fears inside of them for different reasons. And we have to respect that. I feel like those feelings are projected onto those children, which would be in our age bracket, that are adults now with their own kids. We have a tendency to absorb what our family believes, what our family feels, and our family's fears. And we make their fears our fears, even if it's not even something we should be fearing in modern times.
Even parents have to watch what they say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we grow up now, or I should say the younger people grow up now,
we're still young, by the way.
We're still young.
That's
yes,
right.
We are. Our children that are growing up now are viewing the world very differently. I still remember a time where there was a white school and a black school. Even though it wasn't segregated legally, it still was that way because of the neighborhood. a lot of these kids now are experiencing going to school with different races all day long, every single day. My best friend's white, my best friend's black, my best friend's Hispanic.
Oh, well, don't stop there. They're getting together and hooking up.
Exactly. It's part of the community, which, as we're taught in our history books, that was the reason why America was built, so that everyone would have a place to go and feel welcome. And now
there are no history books to read.
which is a whole other
issue
and conversation that I could go on
and
about.
I probably shouldn't even brought that up, but
it's true though. It's true.
Yeah, but you're right. That's a whole nother. I don't know if you'll be willing to put up with me for another interview, but that is a whole different can of worms.
It is the whitewashing of America from the beginning of days. Now it seems like everything is being whitewashed, whether it is politics down to music and where it comes from. Whose country are enough? Are black cowboys real? You know, we've got all these things that are put out there to try to erase real history, and that's a problem. I can't sit here and honestly say that I blame this all on white people or ancestors per se. I feel like there's blame to put on in different areas. When we're talking about the black and brown community, especially right now in our time, I would love more of us to speak out. I will tell you my personal experience, mine and my husband's, just living here. We haven't met a lot of black people, but we see black people. If I go up to someone who is black and I start talking to them about anything political, they instantly withdraw inside themselves in fear.
There's fear, yeah.
And I see it. And I'm like, why? Why are you afraid to talk about these things? And it's usually the same responses. I don't want any trouble out of my neighbors. If your neighbors are attacking you because of how you feel inside, to me, that's a community problem. To me,
get in trouble.
Right.
You know, and again, I'm a little older, so I'm familiar with, you know, the term good trouble.
Yes.
You know, and we may not have heard that term good trouble that day on that bridge in Selma, Alabama, but Mr. Lewis was on to something.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis was absolutely on to something. And, you know, we have to see, I'm a believer in you've got Dr. King, you've got Malcolm X, you've got Medgar Evers, and later on you had John Lewis and Mr. Cummings, I think Elijah Cummings, okay, Maxine Waters, all right? I mean, I could go on. I'll even include Thurgood Marshall in there, okay? But, you know, even with some of these people who are still active now, like Ms. Waters, where's today's leadership?
Yeah.
I really thought that when we were marching, you know, Black Lives Matter and everything, I really thought, okay, somebody from all these events, all these demonstrations, somebody's going to step forward. I just knew it. Nobody stepped forward. The closest we've come to leadership is the two Justins whose last names escape me, the two Justins in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I would love for, you know, editorializing here, but I would love for them to be, you know, the guys to step up, because I think they're not only are they bright and intelligent, they absolutely have a lot to offer. And it would be a sacrifice, and people got to understand that, you know, leadership takes sacrifice.
It's hard. Yeah.
And by the way, thank you for yours. You know, because no, we need that. We need that. Okay, I'm gonna pivot because your husband's been waiting patiently, and you know, it's time for a little edification. Donald, I want you to talk to me about your wife. First of all, we got to hear the story about how y'all met.
So let me give you some background on myself first.
Okay, please do.
Right. So I'm coming from, you know, from this area right here, you know, Houston, born and raised, and once I left Houston, I ended up doing 21 years of service, active duty service, combat included, and 4 years of my service, I was a recruiter here in San Marcos, in this area. New Braunfels was part of my footprint. I always ran through this area, so I found that place of zen, going back to your earlier conversations. So I knew this could be a retirement spot for me. 2.5 hours to Houston, 30 minutes to San Antonio, 30 minutes to Austin, dead center.
Perfect spot.
Dead center. When I was a recruiter, I was told at that time that there was racism in this area. I said, I'm not worried about racism. I lived in Europe. I lived all around the world. I'm a soldier. I don't run from a fight. So I get into the community, and I never witnessed any of that nature. I know it's a hidden thing. I know it's they see you, and they put up a good front in your face, and then behind your back it might be something different. But for the most part, it's been genuine. Everyone that meets someone genuine, they choose to be that unless you're told otherwise, shown otherwise. My spouse, when you grow in something, home, say any structure, you need a cornerstone. You need a foundation. It's part of the strongest part of that building. All right, that's what my wife is. She's always been a cornerstone in the community in which she lived in Dallas-Fort Worth area. She's always been that cornerstone since she's met me in my life for my mental stressors, for whatever it may have been from my past. You know what I mean? So in a fight like this, being that she loves politics, and I've never came from that. In uniform, you can't speak on politics or you can lose your career.
Hello, Pete Hegseth.
Absolutely.
Right.
Little simple things, they'll leave a document out on those stories. You see what I'm saying? So you need a different caliber of fighter for something like this that's going on in the world today. You have to step outside of your comfort zone, whether you wear that uniform or not, on what's right and what's not. Core values, treating others as how you want to be treated. It's that simple, with life. I tell people now, after 21 years of service, I can't just cut teaching, coaching, and mentoring out of my life. So once me and my wife met up 3 years ago, it's to where it all fell in line. All of the path throughout life, all of the trouble, the going down range and helping people seeing the death. I've seen actual haves and have-nots. I've seen those that of all walks of life. I've seen people that come from being a skinhead to being one of my closest friends today, just because we served together in a different aspect of life. So can't no one tell me that your mental state cannot change and become better.
Yes.
You see? So the way I live my life today is the same way I have for the majority. And I help myself become better and others around me. And you can only really affect your bubble a little more now with technology. We can reach out and spread our knowledge that we have. Don't hold on to it if you have it. Why die with it? So my cornerstone keeps me rocking and our area rocking, and I'm right along with them.
Okay, you're a wordsmith because you said a few things throughout that whole thing, and I'm like, man, we need you to put this on a shirt. We need you to put some of this stuff on a shirt. But it's all right. I got it on video, and I'm going to run it back to you later. We're gonna do something with some of what you said.
I like it.
All right. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to tell you, you got something going on there, man. But continue story. And
I just like to say that we're blessed in the situation that we're in to have people that we constantly meet, yourself included, that wants to put up a good fight, wants to see others become great in life. Continue to show up in this area. Vocalize more about this area of New Braunfels. Understand that this place runs on water features, Slitterbond, the natural caverns and everything that's surrounding us, right? Floating the river, everything. Look, we got top. I'm not gonna tell you what we had. Don't come here if you're not here. But listen, there's so much around this area that deals with water alone. So we're in the fight because water is disappearing from up under your feet. and don't even realize it because of the bills that's being passed. You know, so it's so many things that's being fought in the background that you have to be, you know, known to. We are spreading that knowledge. If you see us online, if you see us out in the public, you know, don't hesitate to come up to us. We are very approachable. If you're positive, don't come up to us with that mess. 'Cause I might snap. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we love everybody until you're shown otherwise. And that's really it. You know, coming through our life, we just love to help individuals around us. You know, in Europe, I lived in Italy for 7 years. Became a Mason there. So going through the Masonic realm, we did so much charity work. You know, we at the shelters and you know, we dress up as Santa and we give out toys every year. You know, help the child development centers. You know, all these different things I learned at a very young age, and I continued that throughout the rest of my life up to this point. You know, so hopefully I get to see more of that here in this community. I don't, you know, but we're growing, and I love what I see so far. People continue to come out, and let's do great things together.
Something occurred to me the other day. I spoke to a friend of mine who's kind of, you know, he keeps up with the politics and everything. And so I told him that, you know, about, I spoke to him about you especially, you know, being that you're a man, but he said something which I thought was kind of curious.
Ooh.
He said, well, how come he's behind her? How come she's running and he's in the background?
Mm-hmm.
I said, man, don't you know? I said, you could lead from behind, and this way she knows that he's got her back.
Yeah, definitely.
You know? I said, so what's wrong with that? I said, what is it, the 18th century, you know?
Yeah, right.
But
It's a crazy way of thinking.
but that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You know, people's mentality.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to change. It has got to change, and you know, hopefully, we are the start of that change. So I want to pivot because I know that there's somebody else we need to talk about. I missed the golden opportunity to meet Dr. Van Berg last night. I had some sudden transportation issues, which I'm still not happy about. But I know she's running for Congress right here.
There's a big yellow wasp I'm trying to avoid.
Oh no.
Is it gone?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. And we're not going to edit it out.
that's right.
It's like, whoa.
No,
everybody feel the walls.
it makes people more human. And if you probably saw video of the anchor on CNN, Abby Phillip. She was actually on location. She might have been Mar-a-Lago.
Was that when the
And-
fly was all over?
No,
her?
there was a
Okay.
lizard going around her feet, and she's trying to talk and report or whatever, you know. But she was a trooper. She real professional.
Yeah.
She kept with it. But yeah. So we need to talk about I gotta get this right, Dr. Van Berg, and I'm so mad I missed last night. But talk to me about her running, what she's all about, because I'm sure there are people who really don't know.
Okay, I'm happy to. So Dr. Regina Van Berg is running for Congress, Texas 21. As of, I want to say sometime in November, she asked me to be her campaign manager, which I was hesitant at first to accept that
Were you
position.
really?
Yes, very much so. Let me tell you how I met Dr. Van Berg. I met Dr. Van Berg when she did a town hall out in Bulverde.
Okay.
And I went out there just to film for my podcast, just to see who was speaking or what have you. And I was familiar with one or two of the candidates, but I had never seen her before. And she looks very different from the other candidates that we've seen. She's young, you know, like this tall model-looking creature. And
She's easy on the eyes.
Thank you.
I will edit that out so my fiance.
She's pretty. I mean, let's
Yeah.
just be honest. She's pretty. And compared to the other candidates in the room, there was a stark difference in her presence. there was a stark difference in how people reacted to her. And my husband and I filmed, we stood all the way in the back. I'm one of those people I like to watch.
Right.
I love listening to the candidates speak, but I mean, I've been doing this for a while. It gets boring. I'm far more interested in reactions. So how the voters in the room are reacting to the questions or the answers, you know, if they're mumbling amongst each other, what their facial expressions, it's important. And she was speaking that day. I found out later it was her first time ever speaking, but I was impressed.
Wow.
What impressed me was the fact that when somebody asked her a question, she could...
I will kill people.
No worries. We can edit that part out.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely edit that out.
So I was impressed when she was asked a question. If she did not know the answer, she didn't make it up. She didn't fake some answer or give misinformation just to cover her butt in the moment. I liked that she paused. Every time you listen to her speak, she pauses before she answers the question. It's not a rehearsed pause. She's just genuinely thinking about your question and how she really feels about it. And she responds accordingly. If she doesn't know, she tells you, I don't know anything about this. How can I talk to you so you can tell me about it?
And it's okay to say I don't know.
It's okay to say I don't know.
Yeah.
Dr. Regina Van Berg was raised in Bandera. She was raised in Texas 21. As far as the other candidates that I have seen, that's not the case. She has two opponents right now, Gary Taylor and Kristen Hook. I would say out of the two, the strongest opponent would be Kristen Hook because she ran against Chip Roy in 2024. I can tell you from my experience of the two, Regina knows Texas 21. She was raised here. She's a child of here. She is a veteran-trained psychologist.
Yes.
Her days are spent at Lackland talking to active military, talking to veterans, individuals who have PTSD. She's worked with children suffering from depression. She has a viewpoint that a lot of people that are politicians, even though they say they aren't, she has a viewpoint they don't have. And that is how things affect them, how what's happening around us affects them. A lot of our politicians that we have in government right now, they don't have a lot of experience. We know that, especially on the GOP side. You could just be popular and win. You could have worked in a bar yesterday and tomorrow you're making foreign affairs decisions, even if you don't know anything about foreign affairs. That's just the nature of what we're in right now. Dr. Regina Van Berg has the credentials. She did not grow up saying, I want to be a celebrity, famous politician one day. She just grew up in a family that wanted to help. She comes from a family of civil servants.
Right.
And her ancestry, they're immigrants. What a lot of people don't know is that, you know, Regina is biracial. And even though she appears to be white, she's not. And she takes that to heart when she's dealing with the people. Where she grew up in Bandera, she's told me the story. She knew one family that had black kids, and they were a white couple that adopted a family of siblings for whatever reason. Those were the only black children that Regina grew up around. So throughout her life, learning different cultures through her work, through her education, through being a psychologist, has helped her understand we're not all the same, but we are to a degree. And you have to be willing to listen. And as a psychologist, listening is her job. She's a great listener. And when you tell her something and give her that information, she does something about it. She'll write about it, put all of her ideas, and come up with a plan.
That's right.
A lot of candidates like to do a lot of this in front of cameras. And it's the same mess. When I'm this and I'm that and I get to that office, I'm going to do this because I fight for the people. And then they get everyone to rally behind them, give them all this money. They get to office and they don't do anything.
This is where I get to say wash, rinse, repeat, because that's what a lot of them do.
That's what a lot of them do. And we watch them do it. And it has become so normalized that we just write it off. Well, that's just how politics is. No, that is how we've made politics. And in order for us to change it, we have to put the right people in place that actually understand why we even have government in the first
The people
place.
have to raise their standards.
Right. We do not have government to be the boss of us. We do not have government to save us in every single situation. We have government so that we have a community of individuals from different locations who know their voters in that location, and they are representatives of that space. And so as a representative, you should represent the people that voted for you, not the people you are afraid are going to keep you from getting higher up than you already are. Focus on the people that believed in you, that trusted you to put you in that seat in the first place. Don't steal from them. Don't lie to them. Don't have all these meetings prior to getting elected because you are so concerned about the community. And then as soon as you get elected, you won't even hold a town hall to ask how everyone feels, but yet you'll go vote and cast your ballot representing this community who you haven't even spoken to.
Yeah.
I have problems with that. Regina's not that candidate. Regina, actually, I watch her. Whenever we're out at an event or just in public, she talks to people, she listens to what they say, and then we go back in a team meeting and we discuss it. We hash out what we're going to do to help. And all of it is not public. Because the other thing a lot of people don't know about Regina, she said at our meeting last night, she's not someone who lives online. She is not someone who gets all of her news from social media, who's on trying to get clicks, and likes so she can be monetized. It is the furthest thing from her mind. You have to let her know what's happening on social media in order for her to know what's happening on social media.
I wonder if she's even that interested. I haven't, I have a feeling, and you know her, I don't, but I have a feeling that she doesn't really care.
But the opponent, is that who you're speaking
No,
of?
Dr. Van Berg, that she doesn't really care that much about what's on
the
social media.
Oh, she doesn't. Not unless it is something. So Regina's interest in social media, especially in today's times, we know that that's where our youth is. And that's where they put all their opinions out. Her interest in social media is hearing from them. Hearing from our, the 30-year-olds, the 25-year-olds, because they put all their business out online. And in our area, especially her being in Bandera and Texas 21 being so broad, what many people don't realize is that Texas 21, a good majority of it is rural. And those people are not on social media in the way that we are on social media. Those people may have one social profile that they started whenever. It's the only one that they may see their news from. They're not coming to town to go to meet the candidates. They're not doing the things that we would see being inside of the city. Typically, the farmers, the ranchers, they live pretty far out.
That's right.
So what they see on TV, if they get all the channels where they are, that's their news. If someone sends them something to their phone in a text where there's a link for them to click, that's their news.
Yeah.
And we pay attention to what news are you getting, and is it even accurate? Regina cares about that. And she cares about our rural neighbors, even if they hate her guts because they might be pro-MAGA. We've learned many of them are no longer pro-MAGA. They're losing their farms. They're having to give up the family land because they can't afford workers. Their workers have been deported or afraid
Jumping
to come
off
to work.
like a sinking ship.
Yeah.
Losing their water.
Yeah. And
Jumping
we
over like a
know
single ship.
that these same rural voters, we know from the Republicans reporting it on everywhere, really, because they don't stop talking. They reported that Trump won 2024's election because they went out to the rural areas and talked to those farmers individually. And the reason they did it is because they knew Democrats never go talk to them. Democrats historically only focus on urban areas, inner city, when it's time for elections. They don't go to the country.
But you know what? Talking about where you get your news from, I've seen it. CNN, MSNBC. No, I don't put a lot of stock in Fox News at all. But you know, even with CNN, who admittedly has moved further center right, you know, recently, but they have this guy, and he's the one that knows how to explain what district is doing what, or this is projected in this district, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're almost programmed to know that, okay, the white folks out in the suburbs, you know, that's a done deal. Democrats aren't going to win that. And so that leads me to, since we're talking about it now, that leads me to wonder, well, is the media that responsible for making our minds up for us? Or even the politicians? I mean, you know, well, you're told, well, you're not gonna get a whole lot of votes in, let's say Seguin.
Right.
You know, because you know, the makeup just doesn't favor
fit.
you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. When you hear that as a politician, does that kind of influence your decision to go or not go to that particular area?
Well, I can tell you from my own personal experience. When I was announced as running for city council, it wasn't on my own terms. Someone outed me publicly at a meeting that was held for the community and told everyone that I was planning to run for city council, even though the race is not until 2027. When this information came out, I had plenty of black people say, why are you running? You know, you do know that they mostly vote for Trump where you live? That mostly it's Republicans everywhere? There's Republicans are on everything. And my response was, well, because Democrats don't run for anything. So if you live in a space where you know, to answer your question regarding media has our country believing that Texas is a red state. We know from being in this environment, looking at numbers, Texas is not a red state. We are a non-voting state.
Wow.
The majority of Texans that are eligible to vote don't vote.
Wow.
Those that do vote, the majority of those voters vote Republican. But that does not mean Texas is a red state. Another thing that people don't realize is a lot of our voter base mentally are independents. But in Texas, our Texas Constitution, our government does not recognize a third party. We don't have an independent party. You can either vote Republican or you can vote Democrat.
Right.
So if you are an independent and you don't have a voter or a candidate to vote for, you don't vote, right? Or typically, especially now, you align with the Democratic Party. And as soon as you vote for a Democrat, you're considered a Democrat even if you aren't. So you get put in a bucket, right? But the majority of our voters stay home for whatever their reasons are, whether they're disconnected, whether they don't have a candidate to vote for, similar to the city council election. The incumbent ran unopposed. No Democrat ran against him, and he was fully funded by the Republican Party. So he had tons of money to spend doing whatever he wanted to do, and for all I know, possibly still doing it. I'm not going to speak negatively of the man. I don't know him personally. Like I said, I've never seen him, never met him. I've seen him in city council meetings on the bench, but that's it. Voters need options that make sense for their community. And that's what I was telling you earlier. I'm running because we need representation. When I go to the city council website for New Braunfels and I pull up the picture, there's nobody there that's black. I believe there may be one Hispanic sitting city council member who just got her seat, if she identifies as being Hispanic. But that's it. If you go look at any other city website that we have here in town, all of the representatives are white. There are hardly any black or brown people anywhere unless it's in an administrative role of some sort, but not as an actual candidate or sitting official. That has to change. New Braunfels is not all white. As we know, we're here.
Yeah.
We have so many different ethnicities, so many different cultures. We are right here next to military bases. So we've got a lot of retirees that come here that have lived all over the world. There's so much diversity in our community. To represent it in one color with your city officials, your local, your municipal officials, to me is very misleading. There's not the representation that should be there. If you are white, raised in wherever you came from, and you are representing me as a black woman living in New Braunfels, and I'm trying to tell you, hey, what's up with all this racism? And your response to me is, there's no racism here.
Yeah.
We have problems.
Yeah.
Because you cannot represent me if you don't know that there's racism here, for starters. And if your response is there's not any racism versus tell me what you've experienced so that I can help.
But a lot of times people know, but they don't want to know.
They don't want to know. And I've received that a lot. I was telling you earlier about my experiences with leaving as precinct chair.
Right.
A lot of the community has come to know about this because of me being the director of our Indivisible group.
That's right.
So back in October, when Indivisible headquarters announced there was a No Kings 2, there was nothing announced here in New Braunfels for a No Kings 2, and this is a major protest, as we talked about. There is another group leader who has another Indivisible group that was approached. They were asked, hey, are you going to do a No Kings 2? And they told the community, no, we're not doing a No Kings 2. We don't have time. If we do one, it'll be at a later date. This came back to me. At that time, I had been the communications director for this particular group, just doing the social media, doing the website, things like that, really small little space. And that was a problem for me because we had not done a march or a protest or anything in months. And the person that was supposed to be leading wasn't trying to do a No Kings 2, and our community was begging for one. I was approached, hey Felicia, we want to do this protest, we just need somebody to lead us. Can you do it? Will you do it? Initially I said no. I don't know if I can allow that time because I've been outed running for city council, and now I have to go and rearrange my entire life to run for city council. I have papers to file, website to put up. I had all these things. But this one particular person I'm thinking of was persistent. No, we got to do a No Kings here. There's too much happening. Nobody else wants to do it. I would love to do it, but I'm not a leader. Please help. So I put it out there to find out how many people were really interested in doing this, and there was an interest. Okay, fine. I launched it. As soon as I launched that No Kings event, No Kings 2 event we launched it in September. From that day forward, I had precinct chairs having speeches. They were calling meetings in public as a precinct chair county meeting, where at these meetings, they were saying these horrible things about me as a person that had nothing to do with the CCDP.
Yeah.
Indivisible Comal County, Indivisible headquarters, Indivisible period is nonpartisan. Period. We don't align ourselves with the Republican Party. We don't align ourselves with the Democratic Party. We are nonpartisan. The point of the group is to make sure people are informed about what is happening with truthful information, and to rally people to get out and vote. Rally people to get off their butts, like Kamala says, and do something. That is the whole point of our organization. We are not here to appease precinct chairs. We are not here to appease city council members. We are not here to buddy and smooch up to you in hopes that you're going to help us elevate ourselves politically throughout the New Braunfels environment. That's not what I stand for. I don't need that kind of help. You know, if I want to promote myself, I'll promote myself. I don't need someone else to tell me what to do, how to do it, when to do it. And if you don't do it, I'm going to talk shit about you. When I left the precinct chairs, I did not hear from a single solitary one of them. They didn't even thank me for being a precinct chair, and that's an unpaid volunteer job. I gave my resignation. They didn't even say thank you for serving when you did. They didn't ask me why I was leaving. There was no follow-up. And I found out that I was not the only precinct chair of color that experienced this. And I didn't hear from them until I announced No Kings 2. And all of a sudden, people are coming back to me saying, you know what? This other leader and the precinct chairs are going around telling people that you're funneling money from Indivisible into your campaign. And I was like, what? What money? We don't have any money. I said, my husband and I have primarily funded this entire organization out of our own pockets with the help periodically of other people sending donations. And we tell them what we're going to spend it on, and we provide that proof. Flyers, buttons, whatever it is. And I was like, at the time, I hadn't even started raising money for my campaign. So I'm not sure where that information came from. And so I was like, well, I'm not worried about it. If anybody wants to know, they can check with the FEC. We're registered with the state of Texas as a nonprofit, 501c4. We have all these things that are our credentials, but it didn't matter. They continued to spread these lies. And these lies went through the community. And the only thing I could come to the conclusion of it was because of my gender and the color of my skin. They were hating on me. I can't even tell you how bad it was. They had an entire Signal chat of them talking about all of these lies. And there were other precinct chairs countering them. Like, where's the proof of any of these things you guys are saying? None of the proof was provided. I sent all of them a cease and desist. I filed a report with the police department just in case anything popped off, just to let them know in advance. These are the people. I've sent them a cease and desist. The chair of the CCDP wrote me a letter certified. I had to sign for it on CCDP letterhead. And the entire letter is a lie. In the letter it states, the members of the CCDP have no issues with you. We've never said anything negative about you. We have no proof of anything that you've ever done wrong. And she signed it as the chair. I wrote back and I was like, well, I appreciate you sending me this letter. However, I have screenshots of the entire Signal conversation. I have testimony from people who are willing to speak up to say that you said this at a meeting. I have all of this evidence. So you guys need to keep my name out of your mouth, or I'm going to have to present this evidence. But it kept happening. But this time it wasn't on a broad scale in meetings. They were just talking to little bitty
Undercover.
onesies and twosies.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of these people know me. So they would come back and tell me what they were told. And I'm like, who told you that? Somebody that I've already sent a cease and desist letter to? Why are they after me so badly? What did I ever do to the precinct chairs of Como County? Other than say, something's wrong with your organization. You guys are closet racist. And you need to fix yourselves and all of the internal chaos that happens so that you can actually be the precinct chairs for the county. Comal County has many, well, not, I won't say many, but we have multiple cities. We have a lot of voters in Comal. Our precinct chairs focus on New Braunfels. That's it. They've recently started venturing out to Canyon Lake more, but that is primarily because we have a representative that lives in Canyon Lake who's running for the Texas House that they are supporting. So they're spending more time in Canyon Lake to kind of prop that individual up. That's not talking to the Black and brown communities.
Nope.
That's not talking to the traditional Republicans who might be on the fence about voting for Trump. That's not talking to the independents who are really wanting someone to speak to them directly, but they don't have that, especially not in Texas. Our chairs focus so much on being a popularity group and being I'm not going to say who told me this. I said it in a video on YouTube. If anybody wants to watch it, they can go. Who told me this, who's very high up in the Texas Democratic Party. We've seen him on the news recently, told me that they consider our precinct chairs to be a social club. I put that in quotes. That was said to my face at a Chuck Wagon event right here. Where were we? In Seguin. Told me to my face. Don't worry about them. We just consider them a social club. We don't really tell them what to do. We don't tell them what to say. They just do whatever they do. But the community doesn't know that. The community looks at these women as being the word of the democracy in New Braunfels.
Especially because they're elder.
They're all elders, yes. Most of these women are like 20, 30 years older than me, and they have attacked me with a force that has been ridiculously unnecessary. It has been
And I might add,
unprovoked.
apparently unsuccessful too, because here you
Unsuccessful.
are.
Here I am. They wanted to shut me up, but I'm still here. To answer your question, when someone puts those numbers out, whether it's the media or someone else that says you live in this area, people aren't going to vote for you, I call BS on that. I cannot tell you how many times just since I've been outed as being a candidate that people have come up to me, come to places that they know my husband and I are going to be, just so they can shake my hand and take a picture with me and tell me that they are voting for me.
Oh, we're going to take a picture when this interview's over. I promise you that.
Okay.
You know.
Yes. And oftentimes, to my surprise, I get right behind that, you're black.
That's right.
I've met you, I've talked to you, and the fact that you're black makes me want to vote for you even more, because we don't have anybody black representing us anywhere. And this might surprise you, those words are coming from white people. Elders. Right here in New Braunfels. That says a lot to me.
Yeah. It's a
So-
little shocking, but but then again, maybe not.
Maybe not, right. They know what's happening.
Because you're saying elders, man. You know, full disclosure, I'm about to turn 65 in a few days, right? But, you know, elder to me now is 80, 85,
That's
90.
right.
But the thing is, even those folks, all right, they're not the ones we've always had to worry about.
That's true.
It was their parents
Yes.
and their parents before that and so on.
Right.
So I could kind of understand what you're saying. You know, I mean, things started to change late 50s, early 60s, you know, to the point where they assassinated some of America's greatest leaders.
Right.
You know, it's not limited to Dr. King,
Right.
you know. But, yeah, so I kind of understand where you're coming from when you say that. It's a little surprising, but then again, it's not really that surprising.
Yeah. And they don't do it. Oftentimes, when I get messages from people, it's online. They'll send me an email. You know, I'll get a text message or something on social, and they'll say, "Hey, I see what's happening, and you're not wrong." I had one gentleman tell me this has been going on for years within the CCDP. They've run off many candidates of color. I've had someone even tell me the names of those candidates, which I plan to reach out to those candidates just to find out what they actually experience. But
Wait a minute, this sounds like an opportunity for the Owens files. I'm just saying.
Go ahead. For him to speak on that? Yeah, there's been several candidates. You mean for him to run? Is that what you're
Just the
saying?
Owens files.
Just the Owens files in general?
Yeah, and
I
just
agree.
just to talk about these folks who, you know, these I'm gonna say these foul folks.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, because it's not my language. We call them OBBs, and you can that acronym
You can't
you
tell.
can make of it with what
Whatever
you
you
will.
want.
But I mean, when someone's bitter, they that's their internal fight, right? That's how we feel. Everyone we reach out to and we come to as a you know, on a daily occasion, we're just genuine.
Yeah.
You gonna like us or you're not. You know, we need haters, so thank you, because you know you help spread our word too. You know, we're gonna continue to be who we are.
Right.
You know, as people. So those elders that I spoke of are in that 80-ish bracket. Okay, some of them, I remember being at the No Kings event that we threw, and you know, wheelchairs and walkers, and saying, hey, listen, I've seen people here that I haven't seen since high school, and you know, our mind frame has now changed, and so now the socialization that I spoke on earlier in this area, it starts there. It
Some of
starts
those
with
people
us.
they lived
starts-
right here in New Braunfels, and they had not seen each other in decades, until they came to the No Kings 2 event.
Wow.
That's right.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Because they live on opposite polar sides of politics.
That's right. And we know that we're making a change for the better. You know, we see it face to face. We can't speak on the opposition that we have around here, but we know that we're making a positive
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah.
You know, and we're just going to continue to do that.
Well, that alone, I mean, and all jokes aside, this is without question the first time I've ever heard of any kind of event like this, which drew people together, and they haven't seen each other since
High school.
the Last Supper, for crying out loud.
Right.
And you know, here they are. You know, that tells me that, you know, when that happens, it tells me that the politician is doing something right, you know, delivering the right message. And you know, I mean, I know that my parents taught me it's not even what you say, it's how you say it.
That's right.
And so, Ms. Owens, I already know you know how to deliver the message,
Thank you.
you know. So, good for you on that, because I think that's a big problem too. How Trump gets away with delivering his message, I will never understand.
It's gibberish.
The only person on earth who could get away with that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Agreed.
But, you know, our job now, your job as a politician, and Dr. Van Berg, and, you know, Jasmine Crockett, AOC, anybody else, even on the other side, the mission is to not follow him.
Yeah.
The mission is to not do like he does. Because everybody thought it was really cute when a failed game show host won the election. Second time he told you
Exactly.
when he
what
was
gonna
running.
do.
He told you what he was going to do. And it was okay because he was coming after who?
Yeah.
Us.
Right. Right.
And the only people that were supposed to be negatively impacted was us. And then all of a sudden something happened, and now people were like, whoa, wait a minute. Oh no, I'm abandoning ship because you didn't keep your promises. Oh no, yes he did.
Yeah.
Yes he did. You just didn't listen. You had selective listening is what you had.
I want to say something to that. Two things, actually. First, I want to stress that Donald Trump's entire campaign, his administration, pay attention to what they do. We do this inside of campaigning with our indivisible group as well. Starting on Wednesdays, pay attention to this. On Wednesdays, Trump does something, his administration does something that is, oh my gosh, shock and amazement. We follow that story. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he throws something right on top of it for a little icing on the cake so that we all scramble over it Saturdays and Sundays. There's never a weekend of rest. During that period of time, the majority of America is not watching the news, so they have no idea these things are
That's
going on.
exactly right.
It takes from the Thursday, Friday timeline until Monday morning for those stories to circulate enough through the media for big media to even talk about it. And if it hasn't circulated enough online, we will never hear those stories in big media. That's on purpose. Because on Monday morning, when CNN and all the other networks are talking about what happened, what Donald Trump said last Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, we've got Monday to this coming Wednesday before another bomb is dropped from the Trump administration. So every week we are playing 7 days of catch up from the week before when it comes to how we deliver messaging to the people. With a week will go by before everybody knows enough to feel upset or feel some kind of way about it to talk about it the next week. But a lot of things have happened. A lot of bills have been passed, a lot of papers have been signed, a lot of jobs have been lost, a lot of lives have been affected that will not recover.
And by the way, a lot of nothing has been done during that time. Too.
Exactly. And this is every single week. Donald Trump's entire platform is to flood the zone, flood us with all of this drama and chaos so that we get to the point where we say, I can't watch the news, I have to check out, that it's too much. When we get there, he's won. When we get to the point where we say we've checked out, oh my God, I just want to get my hair and my nails done today. I just want to relax by the pool. I don't want to watch TV. I feel so much better when I have no idea what's happening in the world. He's won. Because that now makes you someone who will be less informed about what is going on, and you are more susceptible to receiving misinformation in whatever form you get it, because it's going to come at you fast. And unless you're somebody who's going to pick apart what you read and go study what sources you're getting that from, learn if they're real or not, if it's a bot that made it up, unless you're that person, which most people aren't, you're more susceptible to read this and believe this, and you're going to act accordingly. Your feelings are going to change. Your everyday movements are going to change. Who you talk to about certain subjects are going to change. And now you've isolated yourself in this bubble of unreality. Let's put it that way. And while everyone else is looking at you like, what are you talking about? This is really happening. And now you feel like the black sheep and everyone's turned against you. However, staying informed, as uncomfortable as it is how we're going to win. If we are not informed, if no one ever teaches you your ABCs, you're not going to learn them on your own, because you don't even know what to look for, right? You don't know that there is an A or that there is a B or what order they're supposed to go in. You have to learn that. You have to practice that. You have to study that, even though it might not be the most exciting thing you want to do, right? It's the same thing with politics. You have to know it. You don't have to read it and look at it all day long every single day, but you at least need to stay abreast about what's happening. And not just what's happening in your home, but what's happening in the places elsewhere, because all of it is eventually going to come back home.
All of it matters. All of it matters.
Don't check out.
That might be a campaign slogan.
Yeah,
Don't check out.
Yeah.
I might have to use that. That's a good idea.
And that's the majority of people. The majority of people check out. They become, part of that sheeple atmosphere. You know what I mean? They follow suit. My vote don't count anyway, so I'm gonna sit at the house.
And do nothing.
Do nothing.
Watch the game.
Because my vote don't matter.
Right.
And that's a lot of people have always thought like that. The people I grew up with are like that to this day, and they're 40. A lot of soldiers that's in uniform and out of uniform still think that way right now to this day. And we surrounded by military bases.
Yeah.
Three of them. There's a lot of retirees here.
That might have been some military planes flying overhead. For those who don't know New Braunfels, we are located maybe a mile away from a municipal airport, but you might have something other than municipal airports flying in and out, just saying. You
never know.
That's right.
So close to the Air Force
don't
bases.
complain with us is what he's saying. but yeah, so a lot of people still think that way in this area. I'm gonna just stay home because my vote really don't matter.
Yeah.
So it takes that select breed like us and others that's out there in the streets right now to get that knowledge out there. So hey, it is something out there more than what you know. Expand your brain, get what they say, add a wrinkle to your brain. Earn some knowledge on today, and when you see us out there, because we're gonna teach.
Yeah.
Everywhere can become a teaching moment. And that's our responsibility. That's part of it. Yeah.
The other part of the point I wanted to make a moment ago, I was saying there's two things. The other thing is we focus a lot on our federal elections. And one of the messages that I put out is use that same energy to focus on your municipal elections, your local elections. Oftentimes, people don't vote in their local elections.
Yes.
And they don't care to. They don't give a damn about who's running for judge, county commissioner, city council, agriculture. They don't care because they feel like it's so detached from their everyday lives. And what I want to say is, you are so wrong about that. If that's how you feel, your city council members have the ability to do so many things that affect your everyday life, from when you get to water your yard to, you know, what type of things you can have out on the street, to if something's illegal or not illegal. They get a say so in a lot. If we only focus on federal elections and we just allow whomever to win our local elections, it doesn't matter if we have a Democrat in office in the White House.
Absolutely.
Because that Democrat will have no allies
Absolutely.
locally to help them do the things that the people need.
You still lose.
And we're experiencing that right now. All up and down the ballot. We've got Republicans. I don't want to say they're all MAGA, because that's not true. There are traditional Republicans that are on the ballot, along with the MAGA Republicans that are on the ballot. And when you look at, and that's the federal level, when you look at the local levels, it's mostly just Republicans in Texas. And like I was saying earlier, here in New Braunfels, it's a fear. People don't want to go vote because they're scared to, so they'd rather stay home. And that's not just Democrats. I will tell you, our neighbors, a lot of our neighbors have been traditional Republicans.
That's right.
When I went and talked to them, just to let them know, hey, I'm running for city council. At the time, I was also running to be on the board of our neighborhood community, which I won that, by the way. And
There you go.
I was telling them, hey, you know, I'm running for city council. How do you feel about what's going on? Most of them didn't vote.
That's right.
And I didn't believe it when they told me. So at this time I was precinct chair, I pulled my precinct just to see who voted. There weren't very many people that went and voted. So I didn't look at this as being like, oh my God, this is gonna be so hard. I gotta get everybody out to vote. I was like, yes. We live in Comal, where everybody keeps telling me everyone around here votes for Trump. And I have an entire precinct that didn't vote for Trump. They didn't vote for Kamala either. But to me, that says that's an opportunity. These people did not vote for reasons. And all we have to do is find out what those reasons are and change that, so that they will feel compelled to get up and go speak out for themselves on the ballot. You know, I hear people saying, we need fighters. We need people that'll get out and speak out, like Jasmine Crockett. If you're not that dude, if you're not that woman that can just speak out and let everybody, if you don't do social, you don't talk to people, you're an intro, whatever the reason is, the ultimate way that you stand up for yourself is to cast your vote. And know who you're casting your vote for. If it's a department or a group of people, learn who those individuals are. Not just the ones that
learn their position on the things that matter to you.
Exactly. Not just the ones that are in front of the cameras, because those are just the talking heads. It's the one you see standing behind the person that's in front of the camera, the one that's always in the pictures with them. Those are the real decision makers. It's just like when you make a movie. Everyone is so focused on the actors and the actresses. Oh my God, they have all these millions, celebrities. But the directors, the producers, they're the ones with all the power. They're the ones that make all the money, but you may not know who they are unless you read the credits.
Right.
Take the time to read the credits. The credits are the credentials. Do that
indeed.
with your candidates.
Wow.
That's all I want to say on that part.
All right. Well, on that note, that you all have been more generous with your time than I expected, but I appreciate it. Like I told you, excuse me, even before we started recording, I said, I'm going to ask a question. You go ahead and run with it, and then if you want to pivot to something else, feel free. You a terrific interview. It made my job kind of easy, to be honest, you know, and I appreciate both of you, you know, hanging out with me for a little bit.
Well, thank
Absolutely.
you for having me.
Thank you.
Can I give a quick plug on
Please
your video?
do.
So, if you haven't seen it already, we are doing No Kings 3, March 28th, here in New Braunfels.
That's right.
I want you to go to nokingsnbtx.com and sign up to get notifications. This event, we are expecting it to be bigger than our last event, which had
12 to 13.
12 to 1,300 people show up right here in Comal in New Braunfels. We are not posting the location right now online because in our last event, we had certain individuals try to hijack that location. So we want to make sure this time around we're set. We will have police on board as well for those that are afraid of that. We will announce the location to those that have signed up so that we know who we're announcing it to. You can also download the mobile app, which you can find at that website as well, so you can keep in touch with us all day long, every single day.
All right, you heard it here. Be there. Just
there.
just pay attention to the website.
From 10 to 12.
You'll get the information that you need. And I'm gonna try and make it myself. I know I have another event that day, but I'm gonna try and sneak in just to say, hey, I was here.
Thank you. And if you can't come to ours, go to someone's No Kings. It's all over the nation. Every major city, even small cities, should have a No Kings available. Sign up to go to at least one of them. It doesn't have to be in New Braunfels.
I have a friend in Washington State.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him a shout out. Mark Wick is his name.
Okay.
He and I started out as business partners. Now we're pretty much best friends,
That's good.
even with distance. His background is mostly photojournalism, but he's covered events and he's done what I'm doing now. He's probably done a much better job than me, by the way.
Stop it.
But he'll be there, I'm sure.
Awesome.
And I tell him, go ahead and do it for M3 TV, and I'll make it pretty. I'll get it all edited and everything, and I'll post it. So, Mark, when you see this, I've already given you a shout out. Don't disappoint me.
That's right, Mark. We're watching.
All right, you heard it from Ms. Owens, and you might hear from Dr. Van Berg in a few days too. And that's the next thing we got to set up. I don't know her, so I'm kind of hesitant to just reach out there, but I plan on sending an email. And
Well, you have her campaign manager sitting right here.
yes,
They'll
indeed,
just
and I'm
work
going to
out a
mention
date.
you.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
put you on the calendar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you all again.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
having us.
This was so worth it.
I'm glad.
pleasure.
So worth
Thank
it.
you for having us.
It's been an education,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for educating me today.
Hey, it's all about just talking, right? Just talking.
And
having
listening.
conversations.
And
Yeah,
listening.
And listening.
Absolutely.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you both again. Good to see you, sir.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. All right, so
good.
this is Matt Clare, and I know I'm not on camera, but I'm not the focal point. But till next time, thank you for your time this time. Till next time, Matt saying be blessed. Remember to do something nice to somebody, and we'll see you back out there again real soon.